Four main factors led to the outbreak of World War I in Europe. Nationalism created a feeling of pride, loyalty, and superiority within each country. It caused competition and hostility as each country focused on their own interests instead of working together. Groups of people with different ethnic backgrounds living in big empires also wanted to be independent and have their own countries, which caused problems and fights. Imperialism is when countries try to increase their power and influence by taking over other territories and colonies around the world. When countries were trying to get colonies, they competed a lot for resources and markets. This made them have more rivalries and fights over land. Militarism means building up military forces aggressively and competing in an arms race. Germany and other countries wanted to make their military stronger so that they could compete with or be better than their opponents. This made people feel uneasy and untrusting, and the military was sometimes used to threaten and pressure others. The alliance system was a group of agreements between European countries to defend each other. There were two main groups during the war: the Allies, France, Britain, and Russia, and the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. The purpose of the alliances was to keep a balance of power and prevent conflicts. They made many commitments that were interconnected, and when one was activated, it led to a big war. Some leaders thought that alliances could prevent war by balancing power, but these factors ended up causing a terrible conflict. The killing of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 started a series of events that caused diplomatic tensions, mobilizations, and declarations of war. This led to the start of World War I in Europe. The assassin was a Serbian nationalist who wanted to bring together all Serbs, even those living in Austria-Hungary, under a single government. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia as they saw it as an aggressive act and wanted to punish them for the assassination. The alliance system made the conflict worse. Because of their alliances, countries had to declare war on the enemies of their allies. Germany and Austria-Hungary were against France, Britain, and Russia. Germany's first plan was to attack Belgium, quickly win against France, and then focus on Russia. Germany took control of Belgium despite the attempts made by the British and French to stop their advance. But the war didn't happen as fast as expected. Trench warfare was a major reason why the war lasted so long. Trenches were dug on the Western Front in France that went from the Belgian coast to the Swiss Alps. The Germans were in one set of trenches, and the Allies were in another. The area between the trenches was called no man's land. It was a dangerous place where soldiers tried to attack the enemy while facing machine guns and poison gas. Trench warfare lasted for more than 3 years and was known for being brutal and unchanging. Many soldiers on both sides were injured or killed, and they had to deal with difficult living conditions, illnesses like dysentery and trench foot, and sometimes even amputations. The battle lines didn't move much, and the war turned into a long and bloody deadlock. Over 1 million soldiers died during this time. The war started with hope, but people soon realized it would be a long and destructive conflict. The Great War kept changing and getting worse, which affected history and caused big changes in politics, society, and the economy all over the world. In World War I, people in the United States had different opinions about whether or not to get involved in the war. Some supported it, while others were against it. Most Americans thought that it was not a good idea for the country to get involved in a war that was so far away. Socialists believed that the war was a fight for power between German and English businessmen. On the other hand, pacifists were against all wars and wanted the United States to lead by example in promoting peace. Many Americans, especially parents, didn't want their sons to go to war. The U.S. had many citizens who were originally from different countries and still had connections to their homelands. People who came from Germany as immigrants often supported Germany and asked the United States to stay neutral. These groups created organizations to help their country's causes, yet some reasons made Americans more likely to feel empathy towards Britain and France. The fact that the people of Britain and the people of this place had a common language and history made them feel connected. Additionally, when people heard about the cruel actions of the Germans, it made them more likely to have negative feelings towards them. Moreover, there were strong economic connections with the Allies, especially Britain and France. During the war, American businesses supplied more military goods to the Allies as they had established trade relationships with these countries. Some businesses found it difficult to remain neutral when the British Navy started stopping shipments to Germany. Also, worries about Germany's aggression and how it could harm democracy affected people's opinions. During the war, American banks lent money to both sides, but they showed a strong preference for the Allies. A lot of Americans thought that the success of the United States depended on the Allies winning the war. This economic factor made more people support the Allies. The United States joined World War I on April 6, 1917. There were a few things that led to this decision. In January 1917, Germany declared that it would sink all ships in British waters without warning, which is known as unrestricted submarine warfare. This was a big danger to American ships and people. The second event was when the Zimmermann Note was intercepted. British agents found a telegram from German Foreign Secretary Arthur Zimmermann to the German ambassador in Mexico. The note suggested that Germany and Mexico form a military alliance, where Mexico would assist Germany in their war against the United States. This discovery increased negative feelings towards Germans and made the relationship between the United States and Germany even more tense. Finally, the Russian government underwent a major change. The Russian Revolution happened in March 1917, which caused Tsar Nicholas II to step down and a provisional government to take over. The new government that ended Russia's involvement in the war changed how Americans viewed the conflict. After Russia's exit, the war was viewed more as a fight between democratic nations and monarchies with absolute power. President Woodrow Wilson wanted to keep the United States out of the war, but on April 2, 1917, he asked Congress to declare war on Germany. The United States officially joined World War I by declaring war and siding with the Allies. The war changed the United States a lot, both at home and in the world. The country mobilized and expanded the military and made changes to the economy and society to support the war effort.